You need help putting together some golf clubs, or do you need some, say, expert advice in order to pick the right stuff, even if you're not close to a fitter? This is the very, very first Boxes to Builds of 2020. Let's talk about what we're going to do and some tips if you're building at the home. Hi guys, Jimmy Cleary, mcgolfshop here, and if you would, please like, subscribe, swing and hit the bell down at the bottom down around this neck of the woods, or down in this neck of the woods. And that way you'll get more of these videos when they go to drop. Now, Boxes to Builds, right? That's what, you send me boxes, I build them. That's how I came to Boxes to Builds. Now, sometimes they are just heads that are sent to me. Sometimes they're full-on kits of where people have gotten these, gotten good deals or whatnot, and they send them to me. Now, let me be perfectly frank and right up front with you. If you guys send me every piece that's on here, I cannot warranty the parts because I did not buy them. I'm not warrantying parts that I don't buy, all right? That's just plain and simply the way it's going to be. Now, if something turns or something like that, okay, fine. But if you break one or you bend one or something doesn't feel right, that's not me, that's the gear, and I didn't buy it, so that's on you. But so far, we've been okay, right? We've been all right with that. And the fun part about this is it comes from every neck of the woods. And this one, and this next Boxes to Builds is no different in that it's a closed loop kind of setup on this one. Now, stay with me. This one's coming from Buckeye, Arizona. Now, keep in mind, I'm in Ohio, i.e. Buckeye. And the stuff that we're working on is, stuff that came from Ohio. So, it went from Ohio to Buckeye, Arizona, back to the Buckeye, and then it's going back to Buckeye, Arizona. Go figure, right? So, what'd you just see? Well, you saw the TS1. All right, the TS1. Everybody, this is the latest offering from Maltby, right? Maltby subsidiary, or what you call the upper tier of the GolfWorks line that they offer. Again, they're very, very close, and I know a lot of the guys there. Britt, Pete, Jim, those guys are top notch. What they've offered here is, and it's going to sound very familiar from other Boxes to Builds, is that you have a blade-looking club. All right, a blade-looking club. It is, got a medium, I'd say a medium small top line, and it's got, a very, very small offset, here. I mean, hardly any. And what it is, truly, it is a three-piece forged head, three-piece forged. So there's a face, there's a body, and then there's a cap. And if you notice, there's a big opening in this area right here. And somewhere along this area, they've laid a piece of tungsten so that you don't overcook it and you flip it out there. Again, this is a better player's type club. Now, here's where it starts sounding familiar. So now once they've got this in here, there's a void in here, right? And what's been the popular idea when we've been doing voids? We fill it with goo, right? We fill it with goo. And this is no different. They fill it with a polymer. The idea is quicker ball speeds. I'm not sure how we're going to get that. Maybe I ought to ask them. And so what you have is a forged product which is soft already, very thin face. I think the polymer actually provides support, to be truthful, without really, getting rid of that. So you're going to have a good feel, and it's a sharp-looking club. I mean, it's a sharp-looking club. It has a little bit of a line that goes right here, which might be the separation where the polymer goes, and this is just normal. Now, what I think I also read is that when you get down into the gap wedge, that it's just it's just traditional forged. Now, what do you do when you get into when people send me stuff? There's just certain things you got to do, and this is no different for you guys out there that are trying to do it at home. If you order something from eBay, or you go and get a used set of clubs or whatnot, first thing you got to do is you give it an inspection, and you look on the inside, right inside there. You look at the face, you're looking for dings, possible failure areas. It doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's very rare, but there's every once in a while I'll find a crack. All right, and it's hairline, something that you may or may not see. And so I got to call the guy and say, hey, look, bub, you got a crack, and it's not their by any shape and imagine their fault, but that's what happens when you buy at those places. Now, this particular one, these were pulls. They're not brand new; they were pulls, and this thing was just full of junk. All right, just absolutely full of junk. And so what do you do and how do you get rid of that? All right, real quick and dirty. I don't know if you can see in there, but this thing's covered with glue. All right. Now, in order to remove this thing, you have to activate it with heat. And that's probably the easiest thing to help clean out this thing in the fastest possible way. So again, the butane torch, and you get it on the inside this time, not the outside. Now, why is that a good thing? Well, because this thing has a shoulder, you'll be able to see whether or not all the ferrule that was in there initially actually came out. And in this particular instance, it did not. Now, you remember when I showed you that? Now look at it now. See all that black in there? That's the ferrule and some of the glue that's activating. I'm going to run a drill in there to get the bottom of it. Remember we talked about it being universal. And then we get my favorite drill and brush combination. I just say combination. And voila, nice and clean. So what I do after this, it depends on the finish. I would probably just hit it with the unstitched buffing wheel just to clean up the outside so it looks good as we're putting it together. But that's cleaning it out. So a little bit of heat, a little bit of brush, boom, you're done. So that was me a day ago when we were figuring it out. So now we have it also has a shoulder, so now you need a ferrule with a collar. So something about like that. All right, so it's got a collar so it sits in there. And what that does is it makes everything one solid unit, right? It makes everything one solid unit. And if you're really using graphite, it helps get rid of a shear point, really. And it's not moving in there, so that's a really, really good, and that's a good look too. I like the shorter hosel in this particular instance. So I think we're going to use that one. That's another thing. Have you guys ever noticed, and if you do, put it down in the show notes, colored ferrules are a thing, right? There's a rainbow of flavors. However, collared ferrules, I haven't found one yet. So if you guys know where they're at, put it in the show notes and let me know. Now the other part of that you saw is that he sent me a sand wedge and a lob wedge, all right? Sand wedge and a lob wedge. Now this is the diamondized or the MG grind, right? And so what that is there's a lot of relief, heel and toe, nice high toe, lots of score lines, and it's got this special black coating on it. He wants me to bend it 2 degrees up. That ain't happening. Now I've called him already. I've sent him the news, and the reason why that can't happen is this stuff is just so flaking hard that I would just spider web it, and the reason why I know that is because I've done it. All right, and I've ordered some stuff before, and I go to bend it, and I had one just snap clean off in my hand. And it would just made them so hard. So, I might try to, see if I can move it a little bit, but if I hear the very first crack, it's done. Now, the other part difference is, and the uniqueness of these, right? This is what's super unique. I should have put that at the beginning. The uniqueness of these guys is the hosel. All right, if you go look up at GolfWorks and you go look at the TS, and it says Universe, or Uni V for hosel, for that guy right there. What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Now, back in the 90s, they did this. It was kind of a cool idea. And what does UniV mean? Well, UniV means it can take both. Yeah, both. Is that crazy or what? Watch. So you know what I've done? This is my little gauge tool, and this one is the taper tipped, and this one is the parallel tipped. Now watch this. It's a little loose, but it gets all the way in there, right? And you think, oh, okay, well, it's not there. Well, then I do this. And well, golly, it's all the way in there, but it doesn't quite seat like the other one did. Now they're the same length. So what does that mean? Well, if you get back into you get down into a certain spot right about here, that's all parallel, and then what it does is it tapers in the last bit of it. So yeah, it will fit some. Now, it might feel a little bit looser when you go to use that, and hence maybe that's a good reason for that collared ferrule. A neat little setup, and I saw it when I was cleaning it out. You can just about see it when you're in it. You won't be able to see it in here. But if you look down in there with some light, you can see it. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, you can use both, and using taper tip is pretty much a no-brainer because you just shove them in there, cut them in length, and away you go. This we're not. We are putting KBS Tour 90s. KBS Tour 90s in them. Now, Tour 90s are a butt-soft, fairly firm tip shaft, and these are parallel tips, so they're going to fit just fine. And then I can frequency match them into I believe we're looking at the lower end of the R-flex is what Mr. Budnick wanted. We're going to do that. Now again, this is where communication comes in big time. These guys are not parallel tip. Again, it requires another phone call or another email. So that's what's going to have to happen. So that's what happens when we do these boxes to build. Initially, boxes to builds, we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to, I'm showing you little tips in which we do in each one of these boxes to build. So what we're going to do is, we saw we cleaned them out. Now we're going to measure again, and we're going to show you how the uni hosel works, right? And how does it make a difference? Does it change the weights, any of that kind of stuff? So let's go to measuring and let's talk about that, and we'll see how they go together. Day 2 in the completion of the build. We already glued them up. We decided that we were going to use the black ferrules with the collars, and we already did that. Then we, cut them to length. Then we put sanded down the ferrules or took the felt belt and then polished them up like we normally do, because I'm a ferrule nut. Then we put the tape and the grip using the Winn XL W5. Now XL is the old school Winn wrap that made Winn popular, and the XL has been upgraded with additional stuff to make it so it doesn't get as slick as it once used to, and it's a softer grip. Now he wanted these things a half an inch longer and 2 degrees up. And now remember in the beginning where we talked about, can we do that with the forge and can we do that with the wedge? Well, with the TS1s, not a problem. Nice and soft, easy peasy, no problem. However, with the wedge, just like we thought, it was very, 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 very hard. All right, I even tried. I put it in there, and I went to push, and it was harder than anything cast I've ever tried to push against. And I'm not breaking it, so you get what you get on that one. And we made contact, and the golfer is okay with that. Now the last part of this, the completion part of it, is how did it work? We talked about the uni hosel, where it'll accept the parallel, and then it will also accept the taper tip. So what do we think about that? Well, using the parallel tip, it was quite easy. In fact, I only had to ream it once because there was piece sticking out. And what do I mean by the piece sticking out? Well, what that means is when you look down in there, you've got to create this kind of a shelf. And in just one, it was the shelf was a little bit bigger on one side. So just a real quick trip with the reamer, and only had to go in about yay far, and voila, everything was fine. Now, the thing I really enjoyed about it is because, when I put things together, I like seating things. I really like them to be seated, and they did, right? They were in there very, very solid. I just really, really like that part of it. And so it could be there. Now, if you guys are going to put taper tips in these things, there's going to be a lot of wiggle room at the top because the taper tip is going to be more like that as opposed to being like that. So you want to make sure that you have a nice snug fit at the top, and make sure that collared ferrule that you have is helping you secure that, making it more solid as you put it together. So, all in all, what do you have? Well, Maltby did a really good job. It's a very clean looking iron. It's very modernized with modern lofts. It's got the polymer on the inside for the speed phase. And it also has that blade look that everybody likes, but yet it's more actually a cap and very, very forgiving. You put the shaft in there that fits you, and we were more concerned about weight on this build than anything else, so that's the reason why we got the Tour 90s in them. And then you put the, apparently we wanted a little bit of cushion from vibration, so you get the Winn XLs, and you got yourself a nice set. So if you guys are interested in anything like that, send me an email, clubmaker@mcgolf.net or mcgolfshop@roadrunner.com. Or you can give us a call at 740-941-GOLF. And then we can take care of any of the issues that you might have. And let's see your scores go low.